when we all heard the news the other night, we heard Elizabeth Edwards was off of treatment. She had liver metastases, and that she wanted to have this time at home with her family. And then the next day we heard Elizabeth Edwards died. One, I want to say I was just deeply saddened. We knew it was coming, but all of us had to be impacted. But then the more I thought about it, something really upset me. It gave a message for the uneducated patient. You mean you go off treatment and then the next day you die.
And I had a concern too, Selma, with the timing and the way the media reported it, that every story that I heard was just as you said. Elizabeth Edwards was diagnosed with metastasis, or the cancer spread to her liver, and she's stopping treatment. And every one of us knows it is far more complicated. We all know that, you know, my worry was that countless thousands of people are thinking liver metastasis equals death, and death overnight, and you know, there was no representation in the media to say, you know, maybe
the balance.
Yeah, and maybe she stopped treatment months ago or a week ago or whenever ago, but it wasn't the liver mets which they seemed to connect to her stopping treatment and her ultimate immediate death.
It's interesting because I think what we saw there was a discussion about it on our forum, and it answers directly to this, which the communication between the women who were talking about it was exactly that, and there was reassuringly a lot of support for well, that doesn't mean that liver mets is a death sentence, and they were actually, I was very surprised. There was a lot of discussion about how the decision to end treatment and how difficult that decision is, and I mean, this could open up a whole other thing for next year, but it's you know, that is a decision that everyone should be able to make and should be able to discuss, and it should be discussed openly. And why wasn't it discussed more openly? When she was diagnosed and it became public, there was a lot of talk from advocates and cancer organizations about her diagnosis and about what that meant. She was diagnosed at an advanced stage, and what did that mean? And there was some perspective given, and without that perspective, I agree there was a lot of confusion, but I did feel reassured that our population was talking about it in a very positive way. But I wanted to say one thing about what Jenna was saying, because I think it behooves us to remember as advocates that no matter how good the information that we put out is, and no matter how connected we are to the science and being able to translate the science for our population, we're not doctors. We don't want to be doctors. We want to work with the medical community. And we have to make sure that everybody knows that we remember that our population remembers that. You know, we can recommend, we can provide support, we can provide feedback, but at the end of the day, they need to open up those dialogues with the medical community themselves, and we can support that and we can encourage that, but we can't replace that.
I just want to say, I think it's important when we see a mistake like that in the press, that we write a letter to the press and say, you know, I've been living with liver mets for 2 years, and so, and try to educate people, because I think it's important. The media gets things wrong so much of the time, and I think one of our duties as advocates is to try to correct them, basically.
But I also just wanted to echo what you were saying, Selma, about the way that the media handled Elizabeth Edwards' passing. I think, I'm not sure how to say this diplomatically, the media is always looking for a spin, something that's dramatic and something that turns heads. And I know that we got a phone call the next day from a local network because they wanted to know our reaction to the passing of Elizabeth Edwards and how that was going to impact how, you know, our survivor population, you know, felt about having metastatic breast cancer. And the first thing I thought was, well, our survivor population is not surprised by the passing of a woman with breast cancer. But we gave them a constituent, a lovely young woman who used to work with our organization, who has metastatic breast cancer, who could really speak to those issues and provide hope and information in a way that was accurate and balanced. And I think that that's really incumbent on all of us, that these things are going to happen and the media is going to come to us because we have access to constituents. So make sure that we're giving them constituents who can really present the information, and make sure that people are not just looking for the sensational angle and really actually providing accurate information about metastatic disease.
Elizabeth Edwards actually spoke at Living Beyond Breast Cancer's Metastatic Breast Cancer Conference a year and a half ago. So the staff at our organization, it resonated in a really different way because we were up close and personal and got to see the woman, Elizabeth Edwards, who she is. And she didn't want a special private room to sort of be escorted into. She just wanted to be with the conference participants and hang out, do her book signing, etc. She took her typed speech, threw it out when she got moved to see 300 women like herself in the room. And my point of just saying that is to share with you a little bit of what we learned. So one of our responses was one of my colleagues, one of the staff members that attended the conference. We were looking to try to find a participant who came to the conference to see if she would blog about her experience and thought that could be a positive thing. And the staff person stepped up and said, as part of my processing her passing and my sadness, I wrote this blog. If you'd like to consider posting it. And it was beautiful, and it's up there. And we're able to sort of share, process the experience as people, but also try and correct, for lack of a better word, and educate those teachable moments where they could be misrepresented in the public domain. And we do have a responsibility to step up and try and at least get some accurate information out there and to deliver hope and meaning and move forward from that point.